Hello, hello, hello. ASMR Nation. I hope y'all are doing okay to good. This is going to be a gum chewing book page. Flip through. And this is the April book page. Historical fiction has never been better. Rachel Beanland's House is on Fire, plus 10 more must-read historical novels that will stand the test of time. Historical fiction is not my jam, but I know it's like one of the most popular genres. Like, people love historical fiction, and I'm happy for those that do. A debut memoir from Daniel Wallace, the author of Big Fish, discusses the difficulties of nonfiction writing. Celebrate Earth Day with young readers, 4 inspiring picture books. Victor Laval's Homesteader Horror, Lone Women Will Forever Change the Way You Think About the Wild West. Here are some food books. I have like 2 cookbooks because I just lost interest in cooking. Cooked like the same 6 things over and over and over again, and I could cook them with my eyes closed. Okay. 5 books worth the hype. I've been seeing this one everywhere. I'm glad my mother is dead. My mom is dead. I'm glad my mom is dead. Jeanette McCurdy. From iCarly. Tuesdays with Maury. I have read that. Lessons in Chemistry. Naomi Novik, Uprooted. Margaret Atwood, The Testament. So, I'm glad my mom died. It's a celebrity memoir, but even if you, like me, have never heard of actor Jeanette McCurdy or seen a single second of iCarly on Nickelodeon, getting sucked into this frank and deeply nuanced tale of a troubled mother-daughter relationship is almost inevitable. I've seen a few YouTubes about it. Maybe I'll read it, if I see it at the library or something, but it's about the pressures from her mom when she was getting into the business and while she was in the business. Tuesdays with Maury is Mitch Albom is the author, and everything I've read by him is really good and touching. I first read Tuesdays with Maury in high school. Much like Mitch Albom's teacher, Maury Schwartz, my English teacher, Mr. Baker, longed for his students to understand what makes life worth living. As the book begins, Albom, a successful young columnist in Detroit, walks through life dead alive, driven by the pursuit of fame and personal gain. During his Tuesday visits with his old professor, Albom begins to realize that the dying man is more alive than he is. We all need Maury's reminder to dance with our eyes closed and reach down into the darkness for the sake of pulling up another. I still find myself in need of Maury's teachings, that love is all that stands at the end of time. For readers who share my appreciation of this book, be aware that Rob Schwartz, Maury's son, will publish his father's writing posthumously in The Wisdom of Maury later this month. Wow. Okay. I love the pages of this magazine. They're so crinkly. Bird by bird. Looks like the audiobook format here, but some instructions on writing and life. Ma'am, Maame. So yeah, these are audiobooks. Ma'am explores the complexities of immigrant families through the story of Maddie, who lives in London with her Ghanaian family and seeks to balance responsibility and self-discovery. Behind the scenes, Rose Johnston feels like something's missing from her life, even though she's got family. Listen, you guys, listen. Okay, I'm going to start this one over. Okay. Rose Johnston feels like there's something missing from her life, even though she's got her family, a consultant career, and a successful ASMR video channel. And then in parentheses, it says ASMR stands for autonomous. You guys, I just woke up. Autonomous sensory meridian response, and refers to calming, tingly reaction to auditory stimulation. Ash Stewart is a struggling filmmaker who gets the chance to pitch a film to a major investor, brought together by chance. Rose and Ash might be able to make the movie into a reality and find loving along the way. So it's a romance. Sound is an important part of Corelia Stitt's-Waters' romance novel, and the narrator Laurie Prince rises to this challenge with creativity and flexibility. She even performs Rose's ASMR videos. If you're looking for an immersive romance, go behind the scenes. So it's an audio with ASMR. Audiobook with ASMR. You guys. I gotta put this on hold. Butts. Yeah, you heard me. Butts. Butts. Butts, a backstory. By Heather Radke. Is a sometimes cheeky but always fascinating cultural history of the butt. Emily Tremaine's narration is lighthearted when describing an unlikely race between humans and horses. We win thanks to our butts. Convincing when connecting society's changing definitions of the unattainable ideal butt to racism, sexism, and passionate when she gives voice to Radke's call to reject those expectations and instead embrace ourselves, butts and all, as unique and valuable as it is valuable and beautiful. Cool. Okay. New audiobooks are in the air, and they just have 2 rows. We have House of Cotton, No Two Persons, Tell Me Everything, If We're Being Honest, Adelaide, Warrior Girl Unearthed, The Rescue, and In the Lives of Puppets. Great books for every reader. Katharina and Bianca, 3 Dimensions, Heirs of Deceits, Tom the Cat. Tom the Cat again. Revelation Through Science, Aging Wisely, A Family Guide to Celebration of Jewish Holidays, On the Healing Road, Japanese paper for digital printing of photographs. Poetry is the answer, so here's some poem books. Every once in a while, I have a little poem book itch. Promises of Gold by Jose Olivares. Couplets. This is couplets. Maggie Milner writes, replies with sweeping "Why doesn't matter" by employing 2 forms, the couplet and the prose poem. Above Ground, poems by Clint Smith. Trace Evidence. For a second, it seemed like American culture was approaching a racial reckoning. Though that moment has passed with few tangible results. Sharif Shanahan. Shanahan takes the advantage of the still burning embers and trace evidence, speaking to the country in sharp, unifying language. Despite perpetual division, or perhaps because of it, Shanahan is able to produce answers to radicalized questions of belonging through these poems, emphasizing how humanity goes beyond such constructions. His words are moving and muscular, with each line pulsating, with wisely crafted feeling and thought. Poems like Talking with My Boss About Diversity and Inclusion allow Shanahan to really shine, showing not just how a person is impacted by race, but also how race is shaped by all of us individually in every moment. A Working Life by Eileen Miles. Streamlined style and singular devotion to mundane wonder. Okay. My allergies are terrible. We have a tree right out this way that stinks. Like, I don't know if you have them everywhere. It's a beautiful tree. So pretty. It almost looks like a cherry blossom, but it's not. It stinks so bad when it blooms. Like, it'll make you gag. Like, who picked this tree out? Why would you pick that tree? For its beauty? Yeah, it's pretty, but I can't take the stink. And it does nothing to help my allergies. Okay. You Know Her. So these are whodunits. These are the whodunits. You Know Her. The last heir to Blackwood Library. So shall you reap, Heart of the Nile. You Know Her. Megan Jeanette's You Know Her is a crackerjack debut thriller. I love reading debuts. There are many books about serial killers, but books about female serial killers are shorter in supply. A book where a female serial killer is a narrator, as the narrator, is fairly unusual. But here's the kicker. You kind of want her to get away with it. So maybe she's like a vigilante type. Dexter. Our soon-to-be murdered Sophie Bram is a bartender when You Know Her begins. She's seen it all, and most of what she has seen has not been pretty. And then one day, a minor grievance becomes the proverbial breaking straw. A stolen glass of wine should not be a death sentence, you might argue. But if you had the argument with Sophie, there's a good chance she would bring you around to her way of thinking. Sophie's new best friend, although it is a somewhat guarded friendship, is police officer Nora Martin, one of the investigators of the first Sophie's murders. Nora has also seen it all, so she thinks, but nothing can prepare her for Sophie. Which brings us to kicker number 2. You kinda also want the skillful, hardworking Nora to solve the murders. She deserves a big one to help her rise to the rank of detective, which would be a reward to be savored in her toxic good old boy small town police department. Only one can win. Let the games begin. Sounds good. And then cozies. The Raven Thief, Vera Wong's Unsolicited Advice for Murderers, The Golden Spoon. The Golden Spoon, the Great British Baking Show meets Knives Out in Golden Spoon. Jessa Maxwell's delicious atmospheric debut, another debut. Betsy Martin has hosted Bake Week from the grounds of her Vermont estate for the past decade. But as the new season gets underway, things start to go haywire. The contestants believe someone is sabotaging their bakes. And when a dead body is discovered, everyone becomes a suspect. Maxwell expertly unspools her mystery, switching among the perspectives in all 6 contestants plus Betsy. Most of the book, 80%, is devoted to following characters through Bake Week and getting to know their motivations for competing. As not until the last fifth of the book that Betsy's initial discovery is revealed. But from there, the plot unfolds, so you gotta sit tight for 80%. Mystery fans may find the twist easy to spot, but Maxwell's careful characterization makes Golden Spoon a delight to devour. Book page e-newsletter. I need to stop signing up for newsletters because my email always has like 50,000 and I can't manage it. I need to figure this out. Villain saves her life in this one. This is called Some Desperate Glory. Debut novelist Emily Tesh reveals why she wrote a horrendously angry beast of a protagonist and then gave her a redemption arc. So there's this, it's long, so I'm not going to be able to find out. Like, the whole thing is about her writing of it. And there's some reviews. People love an underdog story, but in Some Desperate Glory, author Emily Tesh takes the trope in a dark direction, illustrating how single-minded zealotry can spiral into overt fascism. Romance. Hotel of Secrets, Anna Maria and the Fox, romantic comedy by Curtis Sittenfeld. It's just titled Romantic Comedy. It's a sketch comedy finding love in the time of COVID-19. We have two tales of star-crossed love, The Nanny and The Scandalous Ladies of London, the Countess. The Nanny and Scandalous Tales of Love, the Countess. Nowhere to Hide. In Victor Laval's powerful fifth novel, the wide open spaces of the West offer a new start. Oh, this is the book that was mentioned on the cover. Okay. The historical details in this book, from what it's like to stake claim to the growth of opera in America. The growth of opera in American West make it feel incredibly concrete. So it's horror. Montana is nearly a character in and out of itself in Lone Woman, both with the initial utopian vision of it in Adelaide's imagination with its harsh reality. What drew you to Montana? So this is the Old West. It's been 6 years since Victor Laval published the acclaimed modern fairy tale The Changeling. And now the author returns with another fantastical story that could only take place in America. I might read this. Set in 1914 Montana, Lone Woman follows black homesteader Adelaide Henry, who, after the mysterious death of her parents, flees home in California with only extremely heavy, firmly locked steamer trunk in tow. So it says fantastical, it says horror. I don't know, because I'm not typically into historical fiction. I like some horror, but not necessarily fantastical horror, so I don't know. Okay, The Great Mrs. Elias, inspired by a true story. This is by Barbara Chase Ribaud. Based in the life of Hannah Elias, a black woman who made a name for herself in early 20th century New York real estate, accruing enormous wealth along the way. But in 1903, a murder takes place at Hannah's opulent home, and her carefully constructed existence changes forever. The narrative flashes back to recount her difficult childhood in Philadelphia and her decision to take on a new identity. And then there's 3 books down here: The Diamond Eye, The Confessions of Sylvia P., and Take My Hand. Spring's best historical fiction. So we have In Memoriam by Alice Wynne. 1914, Great War has begun to kill the schoolmates of Henry Gaunt and Sidney Elwood, best friends at an English boarding school. When the boys enlist, an epic war story unfolds, capturing the unremitting trauma of World War I. Beyond That, The Sea explores experiences during World War II that remain with 2 families. Dust Child portrays the heart-wrenching collateral damage resulting from fleeting love during the Vietnam War. Once We're Home. Many books have written about children transported various places of safety during World War II, but Jennifer Rosner's moving, well-researched second novel offers a penetrating look at the myriad murky moral choices involved. Wayward, that one has a little crow on the cover. Crow or a raven. Following 3 timelines: 2019, 1942, and 1619. So if you like those multiple timeline books, that's called Wayward by Amelia Hart. Homecoming by Kate Morton. The House is on Fire by Rachel Beanland. The action comes fast and furious in Rachel Beanland's second novel, inspired by real-life theater fire that occurred in Richmond, Virginia in December 26, 1811. Sagas and Secrets, we have The Last Russian Doll. A riveting mystery within a masterfully researched family narrative. The White Lady by Jacqueline Winspear. The White Lady follows Eleanor White, a former World War II operative who leverages her past to help those who cannot help themselves. Infamous by Lex Croucher. Eddie Miller is a Jo March-esque heroine in Regency England who must decide between her complicated relationship with her lifelong friend Rose and the glittering world offered by a suitor, Nash. The Great Reclamation by Rachel Heng. Magical islands in Rachel Heng, Singapore. There are competing political factions and questions of power and control. Familial relationships and love interests in a world that is being rebuilt. The book that made Daniel Wallace a different writer. This isn't going to end well. The true story of the man I thought I knew. And it is a memoir. To a person with a hammer, everything looks like a nail. To a person with a word processor, everything is a story. An A through Z of pasta. Now these are lifestyles. An A through Z of pasta. If I could live off pasta, I would. It's one of my favorite foods that I'm not supposed to have because I have a gluten intolerance. But I love pasta. I read a long time ago when I was learning about food allergies that you actually crave what you're allergic to. What a betrayal. Like, why would you do that? Why would you do that, body? Mind? Why would you do that? Buzzworthy cocktails inspired by female literary greats. Madman's Gallery. Packed with bizarre art through the ages. Books for a spiritual boost. These 4 nonfiction books will make you feel a little better about being a human. Will they, though? The lives we actually have, like Psalmist authors Kate Bowler and Jessica Ritchie Goodenough, examine and affirm the multifaceted human experience. In 100 entries written in verse, Bowler and Ritchie celebrate the beautiful, lament and ugly, and recognize the mundane alongside the blindsiding. This book is not a shallow expression of prayer most of us are used to. Instead, these pages hold blessings that can make every human experience, even a garbage day, worthy of noting and appreciating. Gotta switch my position. Okay. The Book of Nature is the astonishing beauty of God's first sacred text. Dancing in the Darkness, like Dancing in the Dark, one of my favorite songs by Bruce, but also covered by Cannons. Great cover. Cannons, Dancing in the Dark. This is Reverend Otis Moss, Spiritual Lessons for Thriving in Turbulent Times. And then All My Knotted Up Life by Beth Moore. A woman's study teacher, Southern Baptist Church, a demonization that follows and allows only men in leadership. So she shares her story on that. Author, mother, daughter of a spy, Lita McCullough Seletsky knew her father had been with Martin Luther King Jr. the night King died, but she didn't know he had been working undercover for the police. Very interesting. So that's The Kneeling Man, my father's life as a black spy who witnessed the assassination of Martin Luther King Jr. Memoir. All American. This is a coming of age 17-year-old Bucky sent from the United States to South Korea, leaving the only home he knows. He must summon all the pluck and perseverance he has gained as a high school football player to survive in a place that is both his birth country and foreign to him. Hello Beautiful is a family drama. So that's All American. And then Hello Beautiful. Following the heels of her best-selling third novel, Dear Edward, a 10-episode adaptation was recently released on Apple TV. And Napolitano offers a lively homage to Little Women in Hello Beautiful. And then the biography of X by Catherine Lacey. Feat of technical brilliance, a fictional biography about a mysterious and notorious 20th century artist known as X. Small Joys is coming of age. Y/N is literary fiction. Okay. Fever in the Heartland. The Ku Klux Klan's plot to take over America and the woman who stopped them. I would probably read that one on audio. Timothy Egan charts the Klan's rapid rise and spectacular collapse in 1920s America. Egg. History. Eggs and the ubiquitous breakfast food served up every day in kitchens and restaurants around the world. They are also a cornerstone for many savory dishes added to baked goods to provide leavening. So it's a book about the history of eggs. a dozen overtures. One of my clients was just telling me yesterday that she lives on like basically a farmish, some land that had a barn anyways, so she turned it into a chicken barn. Ducks too. So she was telling me all about her, like, she started this in November, and it sounded so cool. She said it's so easy. She's been making pretty good money, like enough to pay for several things. She's like, it's not paying the mortgage. She goes, but it's paying for a lot of other little things, which essentially that is paying the mortgage, because it leaves your other income to pay your bills. But so she's really becoming successful with it, and she said it's not hard at all. They just kind of take care of them. She said it's like kind of like taking care of cats, like they don't have to be, it's not as hard as a dog. You kind of put their food out and they go about their business, and then you clean. She also has ducks, and she was telling me how the baker, she lives in kind of like a rural area, but the bakeries reach out to her for the duck eggs because they're better for baking, which I did not know. Okay, a living remedy. Nicole Chung, an epigraph at the beginning of Nicole Chung's vivid memoir, includes a line from Marie Howe's poem For 3 Days, because even grief provides a living remedy. And then we have Alexa Petrie's U.S. History, Go Back and Get It, a memoir. As she approached 40, Dion Ford, co-editor of the 2019 anthology Slavery's Descendants, wondered how she had become an invisible woman who she, behind the mask she'd created, survived white supremacy to evade her struggles with mental illness. Go Back and Get It, a National Endowment for the Arts creative writing fellow, skillfully blends illuminating research and moving prose to describe her path to self-liberation. I have to sneeze. Ooh. Okay, let's hope I'm done sneezing for a little bit longer. Poverty by America. The new book from Pulitzer Prize-winning Princeton sociologist Matthew Desmond focuses on the root causes of Americans' economic suffering. Mixing statistics and tales from real people's lives, Desmond makes a convincing argument that poverty is a sinkhole too powerful for anyone to pull themselves out of by bootstraps alone. Yeah. Okay, so reviews for nonfiction. We have 70 times 7, The True Story of Murder and Mystery by Alex Marr. All of Us Together in the End is a memoir by Matthew Vollmer. The Best Strangers in the World by Ari Shapiro. Uh-oh, the baby's up. I can hear him. He's up. He's with his dad, so maybe he will just, when he's with his dad, sometimes he goes back to sleep. Not fair. If he sees me, he's up. He sees his dad, he'll snuggle. The People's Hospital, Hope and Peril in American Medicine, and this looks like it's about the pandemic. A Madman's Will, American History. John Randolph, a wealthy enslaver from Virginia and member of Congress for almost 30 years, died in 1833. In the will he created in 1821, he stipulated the freeing of every enslaved person on his plantation, which would amount to one of the largest manumissions in American history, 383 people. Why did he have to wait till he died, though? Anyways, I guess read the book if you want to find out. You Could Make This Place Beautiful, a memoir by Maggie Smith. And then young adult, Funeral Songs for Dying Girls. Okay, that already sounds very sad. An Appetite for Miracles. Throwback by Maureen Gu. Science fiction. Braver Than the Sun fiction. And then Into the Woods, Gray Mist Fair, Lucha of the Night Forest. And then children's, Nick Blake and the Remarkables, Big Tree, Hammer Jungle of Memories, that's middle grade. So that is it for the April book page. It sounds like my dogs need to go out, so they were just out, but they're tapping. Okay, if you are still there, thank you for watching the video all the way through. I hope you have a good rest of your day, rest of your evening, or a good night's sleep,